Hello and welcome, my name is Dries, and today I'll get ready for some cones. Cones everywhere, because we're looking at one of the new features of Zbrush 2018, that is Project Primitive. So let's pick this, for instance. Okay, so if you hit any of these buttons, the move, scale or rotate button, you have access to the 3D Gizmo as long as this button here, the Gizmo 3D, is activated. You have access to this 3D Gizmo, and if you hit that customize button, that gear, you have access to all of these deformers. And even though the Project Primitive is under the deformer panel, it's not really a deformer. You should see it more as a base mesh creation tool. But it's here and it uses many of the functions of the 3D Gizmo, so that's why I think it made more sense for it to have it placed here. So let's look at it now. So if you hit the Project Primitive button, is it now? See, it doesn't like having subdivisions. It does, on the other hand, like to work with some geometry. If you have something that is has too low of a poly count, it gives some issues. Let's delete lower, hit that gear again, Project Primitive, and now it works. So now you see all of these cones, and all of these cones have a function. Well, let's show off what Project Primitive does. So now you can see this Gizmo 3D that appeared in the middle. Using all the tools you know to use, you know how to use the 3D Gizmo tool. You should by now. So if we move it, you can see that now the surface is deformed. And it's deformed by this primitive that is a sphere. It doesn't look like a sphere because if I push the center of our primitive outside of our initial mesh, you can see it starts to create a hole. So if the center of gravity, the center of the model, the piece, is inside the mesh, it pushes the surface, and if it's outside, it pushes it down. So it makes a hole. It's not a hole because it's you can't go through it, so it makes a divot. And if you hit, I'm going to show this off, if you hit that purple surface, that purple cone, not surface, if you hit that purple cone, that is called new surface, and if you set it to anything above 0, like this, you can see it creates a new surface. But what it does is that it separates the primitive from the mesh, your initial mesh. So you can see it as creating a new polygroup. It's not really a polygroup because you have to set it to group to make it a polygroup. But imagine it's like having a new polygroup. And now we can see our, so it's useful if you want to separate your base mesh into multiple parts, if you don't want to have them all fusion together, merge together, if you want to have them in separate, if you want to break them up, it's useful to change the surface. And if you want to have them fusion merge together, then you have to set the surface back to 0. But we're gonna set it above 0 for now because this is going to be good to show you all the primitives. So this is the first primitive. No, this is the second one. This is the first one. This is the second one. And you can see it's the same thing. Because if you can see right above that yellow cone, there are a bunch of orange cones, and these cones are modifiers. So this primitive looks like a sphere, it has 2 modifiers, and this primitive looks like a sphere but only has 1 modifier, because the modifiers do different things. let's go over all the primitives. So 2 spheres, a cylinder, and a torus. If we go back to a first sphere and change this modifier, if we set it to 1, we have a box, and if we set it to 0, we have a diamond. If you hold shift, you can snap to any value in between. So if we go back to 0.5, we go back to a sphere. Now, if we go to our second sphere and hit the first modifier and set it to 0, we have this boxy like cushion thingy. And if we set it to 1, we have this opposite boxy like cushion thingy. Words. If we're going to set the middle one back to 0.5 to 0.5 and hit that modifier, you can see now we have this double coned thing. And set this one to 0, now we have a cylinder, and we can blend that cylinder with the other value. If we go to our cylinder, set this back to 0.5, set this back to 0.5. Okay, so the first one modifies the taper on either end. So if you need to make a cone, or if you need to taper it, you can use this. And then this just boxes it out. Like so. Set it back to its average, and the torus, you can set the thickness, and then you can set the how flat it is. Different types of torus shapes. So depending on your needs, you have to play with those settings. And let's see. What could we show off? Let's keep looking at our settings. Let's not jump ahead. Okay, let's go back to, for instance, this. If we hit this blue cone at the bottom of this line, you can set the orientation of your primitive. So if you want to have it faced in a particular direction, this is what you hit. It's blue because it was facing the z-axis, and then this is the y, this is the x. So depending on the cone color, you can find out which direction it's facing. So with this in mind, let's set our surface back to 0, and let's push it in like so. And when we set our surface back to 0, now we have this pink cone, and this pink cone is the value you set to how you want it to blend with the surface. So if you want to have a sharp transition, or if you want to have it more granular, more blended. Now let's look at these cones. So these 3 values are different blends. So it blends, they call it opacity. It changes the way it blends to the surface in any particular axis. So if you're looking for a specific look, if you want to blend the surface in a particular manner, let's see if we can. Let's make this more boxy, and if you wanted to have make it a slot that blends in this fashion. I don't know how to describe it. So you could use these modifiers to tweak the blending in a particular direction. Then we have this other green-like color, and this determines the resolution of your surface. So if you find you have too much noise, you can increase the tessellation. This also increases your poly count, so this might affect your performance. This displacement determines, I'm not sure how this works, but I'm guessing it works like using a displacement map. So using a displacement map, you could modify a box to look like a sphere. And I think it's using similar technology, and so this displacement button essentially reverts back to this, let's set our surface to be visible. So this displacement, no, that's the tessellation, that's the displacement. See, this is where we were, and this is, I think this is the original mesh they are deforming to make all these shapes, I'm guessing. So tweaking this value blends the deformed mesh to the original mesh. That's what I'm guessing. Anyways, it's more options to deform and give you a particular shape you're looking for. Because you have to build your entire model using only those 4 primitives and all their modifiers. But that gives you a lot of options. So let's increase our resolution like so. And apply grouping. That's just adding polygroups. And now we're pretty much done. You have these functions here on the side. These are radial symmetry. You could, let's find the axis that shows up. Oops. Yeah. So this is the radial symmetry. This is the symmetry on which they appear. So yeah, playing with those, you could apply your deformer to any specific shape. And once you're done, you have this white cone you hit to accept. Gonna reset all of those back to 0. Now when you hit accept, it creates a new primitive deformer, so you can build on from there. And that's pretty much it. Let's try and see if we can actually make something. So we're going to hit reset. We're gonna hit full reset to have everything back to normal. Hit delete. Gonna go back. Let's go back here. Okay. Let's see what we can do. Yes, delete all those subdivisions. This, hit project primitive. Let's change that to a box. Then let's move it into position, remove the blending, scale it way up. Let's scale it way down. Not too bad. Thickness looks good. Let's hit. Where's my white cone? Accept. Okay. Now let's move this up. And let's see. Sorry for that whistle noise. Whistle noise. Let's pick another primitive. Let's go to our let's go to our modifier. Let's pick this cylinder. So let's change the orientation. Nice. Let's see. Not sure if you could guess by now what I'm doing. Let's move this up. Okay. So yeah, I'm trying to make this Lego brick thingy. Let's say this is trying to hit that arrow. Okay, let's see. Let's put it here. Let's clip that button. So if you see at the end of all the axes, you have a little dots, and if you use these little dots, you can clip your primitive. And we want to do this because we don't want it to show under it, like so. Not too bad. Let's maybe increase our tessellation, like so. Let's hit accept, and then let's move this into position. Simply hit accept, and let's see, if we move this down like so, if we set our clipping back, so this is not gonna work. Okay, great. Let's then, because under the Lego bricks, you have these, you have different sets of cylinders as well. And since we're right below where we where we have the other parts, it's not going to work. So we're going to simply hit this new surface, and we're going to make them a new, we're going to make them a new surface. We're going to full reset. Then we're going to set this back to a cylinder. Then we're going to rotate our cylinder to the right orientation. Then we're going to move it down, and then we are going to set the new surface up. So this way it's a new primitive. And the excuse me, I want to say something, but I can't remember what. Yeah, where this bottom part is going to be a different model. It's going to be easier anyway. So let's move this into position. I think I want one symmetry. We're gonna put them in halfway point. And then we're going to scale them down. Just going to put them on the surface above. Like so. Then we're going to bring them down. Since we're creating a new surface, it doesn't really matter. We're going to clip them. Let's see, what could we do? Let's increase our tessellation. Make them a bit sharper. Let's hit accept. Let's create one more. In the middle, like so. Hit accept. And now we're going to move this one down. We're going to scale it down slightly. Then we're going to hit that surface back to 0 because we want to carve it in. And I set the blend to 0 as well. I'm going to hit accept. And then we're going to move this into position inside the two other cylinders and hit accept. And there you go. We've made this wonderful, perfectly accurate Lego brick thingy using only project primitives. So of course, if you wanted, you could do something a lot more complex, but this is just to show how using primitives and modifiers you could achieve a block out of a specific shape. And using all the modifiers, you can really create a lot of shapes. As long as you're working with hard surfaces tend to make more sense. So they tend to use primitives because it's easier to work with, it's easier to manufacture. So if you can break the model you want into primitives, and then if you can think of the ways you could use the modifiers to chamfer the edges, to taper, to cut, to remove, know when to separate the pieces to achieve a specific look. So as long as you take the time to learn it, this could be a big time saver for people doing hard surface geometry, sculpting, hard surface something. Anyways, this is going to be it for me. I hope you found this video useful. Please do like this video if you did. Please do leave comments if you have anything you think could be improved. If you have suggestions on things you want to see covered. Yeah. Please do leave a comment, subscribe if you like this content, and I have links below to things I do, I sell. I have also Amazon links, so if you're looking for a tablet, for instance, hit that Amazon link. If you're not looking for a tablet, but you think about buying something on Amazon today, just hit that link before you do. That will help support the channel without any additional cost to you. So if you do, thank you. It's very kind of you. But anything you do, like sharing, subscribing, leaving a comment, all these things really help the channel grow. So I'm really thankful for this. If you like to buy one of my models, this helps me directly. But if you just simply hit that like button, subscribe, comment, this really helps me too. So anything you can do to support this channel, I am grateful. I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, have a nice time. Lovely time. a good time. Summer is here. I need to stop talking now. See you, bye.